My ninjas! Hey, thank you for writing for the... You want you to be on camera, baby? You don't want to be a movie star? Welcome to another episode of Merc-Brawl, where brothers and sisters get together and dash their heads against the rocks for their shot at a title to be the winner of Merc-Brawl. We had a total of 6 contestants this week. Fortunately, poor Mr. Senada couldn't make it today because his kidney was being a little bitch. Hopefully he's got that thing under control. I won't count anything against you. You won't be toxed for not writing for this, so don't worry about it, bro. So the contestants are Jitsu the Monk, Obliterati, Entenzahn, sitting here, and Sebmojo. Let's get to it! I'll start with Jitsu the Monk. First, I want to point out that I've never been a fan of the characters literally telling the story. I don't like that type of story. I mean, I can see why you did it, because you're the only one, writing for this. It was a 2-person job, but you try to make it work, and I can appreciate. What happens because of this, what happens is that you have a couple of problems that arise because you go through it this way. The biggest problem is, since these characters are telling us the story, it doesn't make sense that Picaroon is dead. Because you have him at the end. I mean, I'm assuming this is it because you say it. They were all the more excited when she killed Picaroon. And again, he is speaking in the next paragraph saying we raised her too well. And I'm assuming that they are telling us this story way after the fact. So either you lied to us, the reader, or Picaroon's a ghost. You haven't said anything about ghosts in the story, so I'm forced to assume that there are monsters instead. Picaroon is a monster, and the captain is just whatever. I wish it would have been a larger lead up to Anchor flipping the coin and taking the ship from her dad's. As it is, the twist kind of comes out of nowhere. It could be me, it could be that I missed the small hints, if you had any hints in the story itself, but I'm telling you like it is. I didn't see any hints. I had no idea that this could have been the thing. Okay, that's a lie. I had an inkling that something was going to happen in the end because your 2 main characters, they're arguing with each other, and Picaroon's like, we never should have released Anchor to them, Captain. Well, I would have thought that something different would have happened, like, she died, which would have been against the rules, so it couldn't have been that. So I was thinking something else, but I didn't even know what that else is, but this is something I didn't really see coming because it doesn't really make sense. I guess it makes sense, but it's a little bit too out of left field for me. Let's just leave it at that. Entenzahn, or Obliterati. I was a big fan of your story for a number of reasons. The first reason specifically was I really wanted to read more stories with my prompt of supervillains. And then you guys came at me with a supervillain story. I was very excited to read it. I enjoyed both sides of the coin. One more than the other, which I'll get to in a second. Alright. One of the issues that I had reading this is the superpower, when you describe it, wasn't what I was reading. For example, the supervillain's power I thought was, fire, control of fire. Apparently he had telekinesis. Maybe it was like a carry thing. I'm not really quite certain. I think you could have done a better job at making this clear as to what each person's superpower. Like Enten's superhero, quite certain as to what his was. I mean, eventually I got it. He manipulates steel or metallic metals. That's very... He manipulates metals, and he wears a ridiculous suit while doing so. It's fine and dandy. I get that. And then in Obliterati's superhero, Obliterati's character has the ability to control fire. I don't know if that is the case. I know that you tell us that he has telekinesis. Right, one of the biggest issues I got from this is this orb. I'm not told what this orb is. Okay, MacGuffin, sure. It pops in at the beginning of the story, never to be really heard again. It doesn't come back for anything. I guess I'm just describing a MacGuffin. Alright, whatever, I'll let it go. So one thing I would have liked you guys to have focused better on was the pacing of these two stories. Obliterati specifically. Not a whole lot of things are clear, and with Obliterati, a lot of what he was writing down, it was too attached to what Entenzahn wrote to begin with. His side of the story is just very truncated. It's not smooth at all. His writing is very. Your writing is really choppy, and not in a good way. It's not like action-packed choppy. Although you do have that when there is action, but it's your prose is literally it's not smooth at all. You kind of just jump into scenes straight up with no lead, whereas Entenzahn kind of slowly worked his way through it. Good pacing, of course, and then Obliterati is just and during this time this was happening over here, and and it goes straight into their interactions together. Obliterati missed a really cool thing where you could have, I don't know, detailed more of their time, together. Alright, Sebmojo, sitting here. Let's get on to your stories. One thing that I think really hurt for you guys is that Sitting Here story should have been posted first. It really should have been posted first. There's a lot of details in Sebmojo's piece that would have been much cooler with its reveal if Sitting Here put her piece first. For example, the him smoking and leaving the joint in the house. It would be much cooler if I was reading, Sitting Here's piece and why is there smoke in the house? What is going on? How did she know that? Oh my god! And then you read Sebmojo's oh, that freaking husband dude. He's so husbandly, very missed opportunity there. Out of all the stories, I kind of have to say yours is probably the most famous. I don't want to say boring because it really isn't. It was great to read. I really liked it. You guys know me. I am a huge fan of popcorn reading, and this wasn't really popcorn reading at all. It was very introvert, the thinker kind of story. The story itself, from both parents, were written really well. You guys usually write well, obviously, but even now, it was so dreamy quality for Sitting Here and so solid for Sebmojo. I mean, it's hard not to point that out. There's not a whole lot critique-wise I can give you to, because what you wrote, the tone that you got, it was solid all throughout. You stuck with it, and everything was pretty much on point. So, good job. All right, it's time for the judgment. This was not an easy week. This was not an easy week at all. Everyone had their own little thing to put forth, Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, but in the end, someone has to win. Jitsu and Senada, sorry, but you did not win this week. Not having that second person, really hurt. Being a single dad, I mean, it's tough. You don't do as good of a job as you could have if you had, two dads. But I appreciate you trying to make it work. It just wasn't strong enough. This is a really strong showing from the other two. Obliterati, Entenzahn, I absolutely love your story. I love what you were trying to do with it, but your pacing issues, man. Those pacing issues just, it killed me. Like I said before, I love the popcorn. I love the high action. I love like the intrigue that you had. The end of it all, like the order of your stories complemented each other really well. I just wish that you didn't have those fucking pacing issues, man. Oh, it killed you. Mojo, sitting here. Yeah, man, your prose is fucking excellent. I get green with envy. Green, jealous, because I can't write that well. Not even if I tried. It's terrible. But at the same time, I mean, you guys had an opportunity to go, all out story. Popcorn. But you guys gave me a nice little journey story of two parents, as they were doing it, as they were doing their growing up. The win and the title of Thunderdome Godparents is going to Sebmojo and sitting here. There's a reason why I went this route instead of giving it to Entenzahn and Obliterati. I liked their story more, but cannot deny, you cannot ignore solid prose and pacing. Dude, like I have that problem too. Like sometimes, at least in my eyes, of course, I tell really funny, really great stories, but my prose is not solid. It hurts more than it helps. My pacing is not the best. There's something to be said that solid prose writing will make reading a story much more enjoyable, and that's what I found with sitting here and Sebmojo's stories. Whereas I was okay, I was lukewarm reading it. It was fine and dandy, but because there was no issues with prose, no issues with just like grammar, nothing. It was just boom, set, straight, cut, paste, square. It was awesome. Whereas with Entenzahn and Obliterati, I was getting irked here and there. I mean, you guys, you had me in your pocket, but all those little errors, it just started, grating on my nerves, like over and over. I'm like, why don't you catch that? Why don't you freaking spend more time with this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It killed. But you should be proud of yourselves. Everyone, really. Even Jitsu, man. Because, like, you made me really think. I had to go to a third party to kind of throw words at them to tell them how I felt about these pieces. And, it helped me out. They didn't tell me who to get, but it helped me to pick who I wanted to pick by saying my thoughts out loud. So, my godparents, congratulations, Sebmojo, sitting here. You deserved it. Hard fought, well won. Cheerio. Bye.